This conference will now be recorded.
Chaturmukha Samarambham Vakbhadacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ragadirogan Sadadanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasrudan Asheshan Aulsukyamoha Aradidan Jakhana Yopurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So in our last session we were discussing about the Vishesha Chikitsa for that Dhadu Vruddhi Kshaya Janya Vikaras. Visheshad Rakta Vruddhyuttan Rakta Sruti Virejanaihi Mamsa Vruddhi Bhavan Rogan Shastrakshara Agni Karmabhihi Sthaulya Karshyopajarena Medojan Asti Sankshayad Jadan Kshirakridai Stikta Samyudaihi Vastibhistadha Vidvruddhijan Adisarakriyaya Vitshayodbhavan Meshajamadhya Kulmasha Yavamashadvayadibhihi Mutra Vruddhikshayothamscha Meha Krichra Chikilsaya Vyayama Abhyanjana Swedamadhyehi Swedakshayodbhavan. So in the last part, that means when we discuss about the Mala Vruddhi Kshaya Janya Vikaras, we saw that the technical definition about the Vruddhi and Kshayam is not properly met with. That is to be understood. Vidvruddhijan Adisarakriyaya. So in that context, Vidvruddhi, Vruddhim Malanam Sangad. So that technical meaning is not taken here. Instead, that Vruddhi is used in a very common or normal literary sense. When do we understand, maybe in a layman's style, that there is vidvruddhi? When there is too much of wit is excreted, too much wit pravritti is there, we say that there is vidvruddhi. It is not technical, but it is in a very informal or a layman's language. Here, unfortunately, we should understand that the usage has gone to that level. Same is the case with Shayodbhavan. With Shayam, technically means Shayam cha Adivisargataha. Shayam cha Adivisargataha. But here, looking at the treatment suggested, we can say that the Kshayam here is used in a very informal way, not in technical sense. So it means the bulk of stool being excreted is very low. Then it is considered as Vidshayam. Same is the case with the Mutra Vruddhi Kshayothan. Mutra Vruddhi, Vruddhim Malanam Sangad. But here, Mutra Vruddhi means there is excessive Mutra Pravritti. And accordingly, Meha Chigilsa is suggested. Prameha Chigilsa is suggested. In the same way, Mutra Kshayam. kshayam cha adhivisargatah. But here there is less mutra pravritti. That is how a layman understands mutra kshayam. Then krichra chikilsa, which will promote the mutra pravritti. Same is the case with the sweda kshayam. Sweda kshayam means there is adhivisarga of sweda. But here it means there is very little sweda. So certain measures which will increase the pravritti of swedam, like vyayamam, abhyangam, swedanam, madhyam, these things are advised. So there that should not have been the case with, but unfortunately that is what has happened. So but we can find the commentators, most of the commentators trying to explain it otherwise with a lot of strain, which is not worth, which is not needed. And this is the way in which it is written. It is, the usage here is not technical but a very informal language is used. That is the story behind it. Then moving further forward, we find स्वस्थानस्थस्य कायाग्नेरंशाः धातुषु संश्रिताः तेषां सादादिदीप्तिभ्यां धातुवृद्धिक्षयोद्भवः. So here we were discussing about dhatu vriddhi janya vikara, dhatu kshaya janya vikara. So for the student it is quite normal that a question arises. How do the dhatu vriddhi kshaya, dhatu vriddhi and dhatu kshaya manifest? So obviously that question is to be answered, or that prashnam is to be addressed. So here we find स्वस्थानस्थस्य कायाग्नेरंशाः धातुषु संश्रिताः तेषां सादादिदीप्तिभ्यां धातुवृद्धिक्षयोद्भवः. So this is explaining a big idea in the shortest possible manner. What is it about? स्वस्थानस्थस्य कायाग्नेः अंशाः धातुषु संश्रिताः भवन्ति तेषां सादादिदीप्तिभ्यां धातुवृद्धिक्षयोद्भवः. धातुवृद्धिक्षयोद्भवः धातुवृद्धिक्षयोद्भवः भवति. तेषां सादादिदीप्तिभ्यां धातुवृद्धिक्षयोद्भवः. So many things are being introduced here. Number one, Kayagni. There is a notion of Kayagni in this explanation. Kayam itself is used as a synonym of Agni, but basically Kayam is a synonym of Sharira. Kayagni is actually Jadharagni. But that Jadharagni, even though it is called Jadharagni based on the specific site, that means Jadharam, it has got its spread across the whole sharira. That way, it is Shariragni or Kayagni. Shariragni or Kayagni. Jadharo Bhagavan Agni. Kaya ityabhidhiyate. There is such a concept. Jadharo Bhagavan Agni. Kaya ityabhidhiyate. Yah tam chigilsed sidandam. Savai Kaya chigilsakaha. We know many aspects about that particular Kaya Agni. Swasthanasthasya Kaya Agnehe. It is all about a Kaya Agni which is Swasthanasthaha. Swasthanasthaha, Swasthanasthitaha. Swasthanam, Swasthanam. Which is the Swasthanam of this Agni. We know the descriptions in that regard. Pittam Panjatmagam Tatra Pakvamashaya Madhyagam. Pakvamashaya Madhyagam. Panjabhudatmagatvevi Yat Taijasa Gunodayad Tyaktadravatuam Pagadi Karmana Analashabdidam Pajatyannam Vibhajade Sarakittau Pritha Tatha Tatrasthameva Pittanam Sheshanamapyanugraham Karodi Baladanena Pachakam Nama Talsmritam. This is the Swasthanasthita Jadhara Agni, Pachaka Pitta. So we learn about 5 types of Pittas. This is Pachakam, then Sadhagam, then Ranjagam, Alojagam, Bhrajagam. It is the five different forms of the same pitta. 5 different forms of the same pitta. They are not different actually, but different forms. And only the Pachaka Pittam is having the Shabda called Agni. All others are known as Pittam. We do not say Sadhagagni or Bhrajagagni or Alojagagni. But Pachaka Pittam is known as Jadharagni. So that is so unique. The original status of the Agni which resides in the Jadharam, that is so unique. And in the Sharirasthana we find many representations of this Agni work within the Sharira in order to build the dhadus, and they are known as dhatu agnis, not dhatu pittam, but they are known as dhatu agnis. So that term dhatu agni, not dhatu pittam, shows the connection of the dhatu agnis with the pradhana agni or jadhara agni, kaya agni. That is why they are known as Agni. In the same way, we meet with the explanations regarding Bhudagni. Bhudagnis, 5 types of Bhudagnis, which work on the substratum of that Ahara Saram to disintegrate it into the level of its basic ingredients. That means the 5 bhutas. They are also known as bhuda agnis, not bhuda pittas. So we have jadhara agni, we have bhuda agnis and dhatu agnis. And here we find dhadushu कायाग्नेः अंशाः संश्रिताः. कायाग्नेः अंशाः, अंशम representation. So कायाग्नेः अंशाः धातुषु संश्रिताः. कायाग्नेः अंशाः धातुषु संश्रिताः. Which कायाग्नि? स्वस्थानस्थस्य कायाग्नेः. The representations of the Kayagni which is placed or seated in its own seat, that is the Grahani, tad adhishtanam, annasya grahanad grahani mada, pittamashaya madhyagam. So that Grahani and not pittamashaya madhyagam, pakvamashaya madhyagam, in the Grahani, that Agni has got its representations in the Dhatu. It is a statement and they are known as the Dhatu Agni. Now, Tesham Sada Adidiptibhyam Dhadu Vriddhi Kshayodbhavaha. Dhadu Vriddhi Kshayodbhavaha. Dhadu Vriddhi Kshaya. Dhadu Vriddhi Udbhavam. Dhadu Kshayodbhava. Udbhavam, that making or coming into being. Dhadu Vriddhi, Dhadu Kshaya. First, we refer about Dhadu Vriddhi, then Dhadu Kshaya. Tesham Dhadushu Samsridanam Kayagner Amsanam or Dhatwagninam. Tesham Dhatwagninam Sada Adidiptibhyam. So first possibility is Sadam and the outcome is Dhadu Vriddhi. Second possibility is Agni, Dhatu Agni, Adidipti, and its outcome is Dhadu Kshaya. So we can visualize it very easily. From the conventional idea of this Dhadu making, we know that the one way of understanding the Dhadu Parinama is Prasad Raktam Tado Mamsam Mamsan Meda Prajayade Meda Swasti Tado Majja, like that, which is otherwise known as Kshira Dadhi Nyaya. So when from the point A to the point B is this normal route of or flow of change, which is facilitated by a principle of Agni. And when that Agni is sadam, it happens, goes through a stage of sadam. Sadam means kshinam. So when that Agni is Kshinam, what happens? That transformation of A to B will be slowed down and there will be accumulation of A. So clinically that will be appreciated as Dhadu Vriddhi. So when there is a slowness of change from one level to the other due to Agni Mandya at the Dhadu level, we understand or we feel that uh, situation as Dhadu Vriddhi. On the other side, when there is Adidipti from A to B, the transformation will be rapid and that will go beyond the supply, beyond the levels of supply. So what will be the result? What will be the outcome? Obviously, there will be a Dhadu Kshayam at the level of A. If we take the example of A, B, when more that transformation from A to B is quicker than the amount in which A is topped up, obviously there will be Kshayam at the level of A. So when there is Adidipti of Dhatu Agni, Dhadu Kshayam can be made out. This is one possibility. This is one possibility which is based on the status of Agni, status of Dhatu Agni. Is there any other possibility of this Dhadu Vriddhi Kshayodbhavam? That is another Jitnasa. Then we find the next line. Purvo dhadu param kuryad vriddha kshinascha tadvidham. Purvo dhadu param kuryad vriddha kshinascha tadvidham. What does it mean? Purvaha dhaduhu param kuryad vriddha kshinah cha tadvidham. Vriddha purvaha dhadu param api tadvidham kuryad. Kshinah purvaha dhaduhu kshinah param cha tadvidham kuryad. If the purva dhadu is in a state of vriddhi, it will make the param, the next dhadu, also in a state of vriddhi. If the purva dhadu is kshinam, it will make the para dhadu also kshinam. So here another possibility of dhadu vriddhi kshayam is explained. This is based on the bulk of nourishment that the dhadus get. Previously, the previous explanation was based on the status of dhatu agni. Here it is based on the level of nourishment that the dhadus get via the aharasaram or that rasam, anna rasam. When there is a vriddhi in the purva dhadu, in a normal situation where there is no issue with the agni and srotas, that vriddhi will be transferred to the consecutive dhadus. Purvo dhadu param kuryad vriddhaha tadvidham. In the same manner, if the Purva Dhatu runs short of the nourishment which it receives from the Ahara Sara or Annarasa, that will be reflected in the Paradhadus as well, because there is no bulk, necessary bulk to make the next dhadu from it. So that also runs through a state of kshaya. So purvo dhadu param kuryad vruddha kshinascha tadvidham. So that is also a type of or a possibility of dhadu vritti kshayodbhava. If you look at Ashtanga Sangraha in the same context, we will find some explanations in this regard. I will read it out. Ye pajagamshaha dhadusthaha tesham mandyaditaikshniyataha vruddhikshayascha dhadunam jayate. That is what we saw in this Ashtanga Hridaya Swasthanasthasya Kayagner Amsaha Dhadushu Samsritaha Tesham Sada Adi Diptibhyam Dhadu Vruddhi Kshayodbhavaha. That is what we saw here also. But back to Sangraham, we find Shrunucha Param. Another option is also there, which may be like this. Shrunu Chaparam. You should, Shrunu Chaparam means you should understand this one also. This possibility also should be considered. What is that possibility? Parambaryebi davagnestattal prapya indhanam shikha vruddhikshayau yadhayadi tadvadhadu parambara. Parambaryebi davagnehe tattal prapya indhanam shikha vruddhikshayau yadhayadi tadvadhadu parampara. Paramparye api davagnehe tad prapya indhanam shikha vruddhikshayau yadha yadi tadvad dhadu parampara. Davagnehe paramparye api tattad indhanam prapya yatha shikha vruddhikshayau yadi dhadu parampara api tadvad. What does it mean? Davagni. Davagni means the fire which is moving through the forest. Forest fire. Davagni. Paramparya. Paramparya means Paramparyam. Paramparyam shows a continuity. Paramparyam shows an uninterruptedness from one to the next, from that to the next, from that to the next, like that. That uninterruptedness is known as Paramparyam. Indhanam, firewood, or some dry twigs or some leaves, grass, or whatever it is. They are all indhanam for the Davagni. Shikha. Shikha means the fire, that flame. Shikha or Jwala. So Davagnehe Shikha, Davagnehe Shikha Parambarye Api, Davagnehe Shikha, the flame of the forest fire, Paramparye Api, it is uninterrupted. It is moving through the floor of the forest, eating up slowly, maybe through the woods, through the grass, through the twigs. Sometimes we feel that no more fire is existing, but still, if we look at the dry grass without that very visible flames, we can find that the black line of the encroaching fire moving slowly, progressing slowly forward. That way, that silently the fire is moving uninterruptedly, but on the way there comes a heap of dry leaves. Then what will happen? Reaching that heap of dry leaves, immediately there will be a vriddhi of that shikha of that davagni. Immediately the whole fire is going to be ignited much more severely, or with the more brightness, with more strength. Why? There was a collection, a heap of dried leaves. Then immediately that is burned, and then again the fire moves, creeps forward through the floor, eating up the dry thin layers of the grass on the floor. In the same way, in the same way, the Dhattvagni also will be working silently, but when a proper or suitable collection of indhanam, fuel, comes to encounter with a particular Agni, there will be an excessive action of that particular Dhatu Agni, and that will bring Dhatu Vritti. But otherwise, still it will be working, but when there is no sufficient indhanam, there is no sufficient indhanam, then that particular dhatu, the agni of a particular dhatu is not getting sufficient indhanam, then that dhatu will show a kshaya. Whereas another dhatu agni is getting plenty of suitable indhanam, then that particular dhatu will show a vriddhi. So here we do not find a chronological or a sequential transformation from one dhatu to the next, from that to the next, from that to the next, that sort of a kshira dadhi nyaya type of transformation. Instead, the fire is spreading all across, and whichever dhatu is getting the suitable type of indhanam in terms of the ahara saram or annarasam, that particular agni works more, and that gives the particular dhatu a vritti. And those dhadus with the limited or very little amount of annasaram to ignite its particular dhatu agni, they show a sort of dhatu kshayam. So here it is something like a combination of dhatu agni as well as the resource, the indhanam. It is a combination of these two principles. It is not just about Agni, it is not just about the Annarasam, but a story about the encounter, the appropriate encounter between the Annarasa and the Dhatu Agni. So here we may uh, see attribute, or we may consider other types of explanations, other possibilities of explanation of dhatu parinama, like ghale kapodam or kedari kulya type of things. It is not about the standard version of kshira dadhi nyaya. Then back to sangraha, sorry, continuing with sangraha, we find द्रव्यं तुल्यं विशिष्टं हि स्वं स्वं वृद्ध्यै क्षयाय च प्रत्यात्मबीजनियतं भृशमाशु प्रजायते. द्रव्यं तुल्यं विशिष्टं हि स्वं स्वं वृद्ध्यै क्षयाय च प्रत्यात्मबीजनियतं भृशमाशु प्रजायते. द्रव्यं तुल्यं विशिष्टं हि स्वं स्वं वृद्ध्यै क्षयाय च प्रत्यात्मबीजनियतं भृशम् आशु प्रजायते. प्रत्यात्मबीजनियतं, प्रत्यात्मबीजनियतं, नियतं determined. Pratyatma bija niyatam, determined by the pratyatma bijam. Bijam is the karanam here. Pratyatmam, that respective. So determined by the respective causes. We will come to the detailed understanding. I am just explaining the terms. Bhrisham swam tulyam dravyam आशु वृद्ध्यै प्रजायते. स्वं विशिष्टं द्रव्यं क्षयाय प्रजायते. भृशं स्वं तुल्यं द्रव्यं, स्वं तुल्यं द्रव्यं, तुल्यं द्रव्यं, तुल्य द्रव्यं, swam tulya dravyam to a particular dhadu. Ashu vruddhyai prajayate, ends up or causes. Ashu, quickly. Vruddhyai, for causing vruddhi. Vishishtam dravyam, opposite dravyam in terms of guna or karma. Kshayaya prajayate, causes to end up in the kshaya. So here it is purely about the nature of the indhana, nature of anna rasa or ahara sara. Whichever dhadu enjoys the privilege of having similar gunas with the type of nourishment the body is getting, such dhadus or that dhadu will show a vruddhi. We have seen this in many times. Mamsada mamsam mamsena nahi mamsa samam kinjid, that dvidhovakramaniya nahi mamsa samam kinjid anyat deha brihatvakrit. That is dravyam tulyam swam vruddhyai. But at the same time vishishtam, when it is opposite kshayaya, it is causing kshayam. So the reason is pratyatma bija niyatam, pratyatma bija niyatam, pratyatma bija niyatam. It is niyatam by the pratyatma bijam, as decided by as decided by the nature of the aharasara and its uh, relation with the corresponding dhatu, vriddhi and kshaya can happen. If that relation is a positive one, it ends up in dhatu vriddhi. If that relation is a negative one, it ends up in a dhatu kshaya. So Ashtanga Sangraha looks into more options of this dhatu, vriddhi, kshaya and tajanya vikaras. Then we find the last option in Sangraha, purvo dhatu param kuryadu vriddha kshinascha tadvitham. But that certain explanations what we find in Ashtanga Sangraha are not highlighted by Ashtanga Hridaya. Maybe for reasons which are known to the author only. Then moving further to Ashtanga Hridayam, we find doshaha dushtaha rasair dhadun dushayandyubhaye malan adhodve sapta shirasi ghani sweda vahani cha malaha malayanani syur yathaswam teshwado gadaha. दोषा दुष्टा रसैर्धातून् दूषयन्त्युभये मलान् अधोद्वे सप्तशिरसि घानि स्वेदवहानि च मलाः मलायनानि स्युः यथास्वं तेष्वदो गदाः. What is the context? We have seen that dhatu vriddhi kshayotha vikaras are there. Generally, vriddhi samane sarvesham viparitair viparyayah. That principle based on or taking it with specifically into the context of ashraya ashrayi bandham, one could treat the dhatu vriddhi kshayajanya vikaras. And in particular, you can go for some techniques like Visheshad, Rakta Vruddhyuttan, Rakta Shruti Virechani. So while explaining this, there is a question, how does the Vruddhi or Kshaya of a Dhadu happen? So then we explained Swasthanasthasya Kayagne Ramsa Dhadushu Samsritaha. Tesham sadhani diptibhyam dhadu vriddhi kshayodbhavaha. And dhadu vriddhi kshayam was not the problem, but dhadu vriddhi kshayajanya vikaram, rogam. Rakta vruddhyuttan vikaran sadhayed. So that vikaran, chikitsa, so the context is of vikara, vyadhi. So dhadu vriddhi kshayotha vikara vyadhi. So there is a consider multiple questions can be there. Number one, can dhadus cause vikara? Can dhadus cause rogas on their own? Number two, is there a standard format for the origin of a vikara in general? These are all possible questions. When you go through these textbooks, maybe for the first time, a studious reader will have these doubts, which is quite natural. So obviously the author is supposed to find answers for that questions, for those questions. So here we find one such explanation. What is that? Doshaha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti. Doshaha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti. Ubhaye malan. Ubhaye malan dushayanti. Ubhaye doshaha dhadavaha cha malan dushayanti. Ubhaye, these two sets of ingredients, that means doshas and dhadus, they cause malan dushayanti, the dushti of malas. Then adhodve sapta shirasi ghani swedavahani cha malayanani malaha. Malaha, the malas, they bring dushti, dushayanti, bring dushti to malayanani, to the Malayanas. Which are the Malayanas? Adhodve, Sapta Shirasi, Swedavahani Ghani Cha. Adhodve, Shirasi Sapta, Swedavahani Ghani Cha. Malaha Malayanani Dushayanti. Ataha Teshu Yathaswam Gadaha Sihu. So, रसैः दुष्टाः दोषाः धातून् दूषयन्ति. रसैः दुष्टाः, रसैः मधुरादिरसैः, दुष्टाः दोषाः, दुष्टाः दोषाः धातून् दूषयन्ति. The doshas which go to the stage of dushti by madhuradi shadrasas cause the dushti of dhadus, and together they bring about dushti to the malas. Malas cause the dushti of malayanas, and on all these yathaswam. Yathaswam shows some sort of an appropriate connection. Yathaswam gadaha sihu. Yathaswam gadaha sihu. Respective type, the appropriate type of gadaha. Gada shabdam stands for rogam. So the respective type of disease are generated in this system of dushti. We should explain it as this complex mechanism of dushti. It is not just about the malayana, it is not just about the mala, not just about the dhadu, not just about the dosha, but in this complex system of that dushti, complex system of dushti with multiple ingredients in it, the vikaras spread across the ingredients appropriately or in a manner which suits to that particular site or ingredient. That is how. So here, after this explanation, we find that even though we say that these are dhadu vruddhi kshayajanya vikaras, dhadu has got a dhadus have got no potential to cause vyadhis of on their own, but it is a mechanism which is operating under the influence of doshas, and doshas again go to the stage of dushti by the influence of shadrasas. Shadrasas here is a representative. a representative of all types of nimitta karanas, all types of nimitta karanas, which is otherwise explained as kalartha karmanam yogo hina mithyadi matrakaha. So here the rasa is you should apply the tantra yukti of upalakshana. From the rasa we should understand all those which are not enumerated by name. Kalartha karmanam yogo hina mithyadi matrakaha. By the influence of that hina mithyadi matrakaha yogaha of kalartha karma, doshas go to the stage of dushti. They cause the dushti of the dhadus, and further that dushti is spread to the malas and the srotas, the malayanas, and accordingly diseases are manifested. So that gives us a standard version of a samanya samprapti of any disease, any vikara. Dosha dushta rasaihi dhadun dushayandi ubhaye malan adhodve sapta shirasi घानि स्वेद वहानि च malayanani sihu yathaswam teshwado gadaha. With that, I think we will conclude today's session, because we will not be able to complete the next area. So let us conclude here. Thank you.
Hmm. Prasad sir,
Yes, Nilesh.
yes, there is a query in chat box.
I will see. Just 1 minute. Yes, regarding the Indhana and the Dhatwagni told, in case of Yakshma, there is no Indhana, but uh, here when something is put in bracket, but Dhatwagni should probably be Vruddha since Kshaya happens. Here, even if Indhana is low, Dhatwagni has no compromise. Is this true? Could you please share your thought? Okay. I hope this is about Raja Yakshma. And in Raja Yakshma, there is no issue of Vruddha Dhatwagni. It is just because of the uh, Kshaya at the level of Agni and the presence of Dushta Rasa, which is not proceeding further through the that dhadus. Sopyasya na rektaya mamsaya kuda evatu. That is what is happening. So there is no that Vruddha Agni or Tikshna Dhatwagni, but there is Jadharagni is involved, and there is no proper formation of Rasadhadu, and so that is how the consecutive dhadus are also going through the Kshayavastha. Hope that idea is clear.
Yes, sir, definitely.
At one point, I think it is very specifically told that dhadushma swalpageshu cha. Dhadushmaswal in Rajekshmandanam. Such a observation is there. Dhadushmasu alpageshu. So there is Dhatwagnimanti. And there is Jadharagnimanti. Doshaihi Mandanalatvena. There is Mandanalatvam. Doshaihi Mandanalatvena. Sobalevaihi Kabholbanaihi. I think everybody knows that Rajekshma Samprapti.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'd like to ask that, as you previously mentioned, in this case, in Rajakshma, the Indana is low, like the previous dhatus, does not convert into the other. But as you told before, the Dhatvagni is all should be low because the Indana is also low, right?
Hmm. Yes.
But in case of Rajakshma, we see that the other dhatus does not convert into the next dhatu. So isn't there a conflict over there? That's what I'd like to
There is no conflict. I think if you can go
like
through that.
because so like the no, the Kshaya Dhatu Agni. In
Uh,
case of Dhatu Agni Kshaya, it is mentioned that the it will be the Dhatu will be Vruddha. That is
yeah,
because
I got
the
your point. I got
that's what.
your point. See, when Purvodha, sorry, Susthanasthasya Kayagner Ramsa Dhadushu Samsrida Tesham Sadadi Diptibhyam Dhadu Vritti Kshayotpavaha. This is your point. So when there is Dhatu Agni Mandya, there should be Dhadu Vriddhi. That is what you expect. But that that Dhadu Vriddhi Kshaya should be understood, or in a situation of dhadu kshaya or dhadu vriddhi, the condition should be evaluated through multiple modes. That is why we find multiple explanations for this possibility. One is that susthanastasya kayagneramsa dhadushu samsrita tesham which is purely based on the dhadu kshaya, that dhatu agnimandya. Whereas Purvodhadu Param Guryadu Vruddha Kshinascha Tadvitaha. That is about the reducing supply from the former one, causing Kshaya of the latter one, or excessive supply to the former one, getting transferred to the latter ones as well. So when suppose there is a mixing up of these things, there is Dhatu Agni Mandya, and there is a decreased supply to the Purva. So there is no question of Dhatu Vriddhi even if there is Dhatu Agni Mandya. Dhatu Agni Mandya will cause a piling up of one particular Dhatu in one particular level because the rate of conversion to the next level is very slow. But here the supply to that former Dhatu itself is very poor, and the Dhatwagni is also Manda. So practically there is no scope of get the latter Dhadus getting any share of their Pushti. And that is what is happening in Rajayakshma. So with that Swasthanastasya Kayagne Ramsa Dhadushu Samsrida alone, you cannot understand the mechanism of Rajayakshma. Got it?
Okay, sir. So either one of the rules will prevail.
Either one, or in a complex Samprapti, more than one. More than
Okay,
one
sir.
may be also operational. But here it is a situation where there is Dhatwagni as well as Purva Dhatu. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think with this, we will conclude our today's session and meet
Yes.
in our next session.
Okay. Okay. Shubharatri to all. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Shubhratri.